Hi everyone, in today's video I'm going to be doing a books I read for the month of February. If you're new here, my name is Megan. Thank you so much for being here. I usually film lots of yoga content and vlogs of my daily life. So if you're interested in that, please check out those videos. But I thought about switching it up and doing something fun today because I've enjoyed reading so much, probably the past, I don't know, I'd say decade or so of my life. And I've always had a lot of enjoyment in seeing what people are reading, and you guys can get an idea maybe from some of the books that I've read. This is the little stack I have here. But my favorite thing about reading is that it allows me to, sometimes depending on what season of life I'm in, to nurture something, gain knowledge and wisdom, and I feel like it's feeding my brain, allows me to expand my consciousness, and it's really relaxing. One of the books I have thrifted that is mine, but the rest of the books are from my local library, which I highly recommend if you're interested in reading, but you're, maybe in a time period that you don't want to self-indulge in a lot of books, because sometimes hardback books or books in general can be pricey. But there's this website called thriftbooks.com if you're ever interested in purchasing a book. Like anything I want to add to my collection, I'm just gonna go on there and it'll be like $2 or $3 for a book. That way it keeps it cycling in the earth between us humans. It's like we're passing it to each other. Sisterhood of the Traveling Books. But yeah, so support your local library, local bookstore, thrift stores. Yeah, you never know what you'll find. As you guys will see, the first couple books that I have here in my pile for February are a lot about growing my knowledge on skills, which I think is really nice, especially from like the library. It's a way to like evolve your brain and gain knowledge on maybe a topic that you're really interested on, instead of, maybe like I read a lot of self-help, spiritual, or like, I don't read too much fiction, but I think it's a nice way to have a resource under a subject that you're really interested in. So I have one Reiki book and then several of gardening books, because as you guys know, if you watch the vlogs, we have 2 garden beds this year, and wanted to really get a good understanding before I started. So I've been interested in energy work, I would say ever since I started getting into yoga, but here recently I've really been into doing energy work, and I got the first book that I'm going to show you guys is the Reiki Bible, and I thought this was really nice because the book starts in the origin of how Reiki started, and the master, the creator, and ways that we can start to use it in our own practice, and then how to help people energetically heal themselves, ailments, things like that. If you guys watch my yoga videos or vlogs, you see a lot that I sometimes in the beginning of my practice will build up my energy through creating this central like vibration energy in my palms, and it makes me feel my power. And so you probably see me start to like incorporate it into my practice. I'm not Reiki certified. It is part of one of my goals for 2023 is to get my Reiki certification, because I think healing is so all-encompassing, and being able to use your energy to heal people I think is really powerful, and something I want to use in my practice. So this book was really great. I also enjoyed that it had a lot of photos with the postures. And I know that like you can find this probably on YouTube and things like that, but I don't know, it's nice to have a book, and then I was able to like take notes and keep it for my reference for later. So I really enjoyed this book. Okay, then next going into the gardening books. This one is Garden Alchemy, which I thought this book was really great. It was a quick read. It was easy for me to take notes on. I really enjoyed how it provided a lot of recipes for making your own fertilizer, how to do your own compost, like the ratios, how to do like a bug repellent, citronella candles. I felt like this book was really kind of like, not arts and craftsy because it still has a lot of good knowledge, but it felt very like self-made small recipes, how to enjoy your garden in a sustainable way. So I thought this was really cute, and it's a really light read. Okay, next is this basic organic gardening beginner's guidebook, and this one is slightly more complex in terms of an organic garden. And for me, since it's my first time gardening, I don't really want to overwhelm myself with too much and like bite off more than I can chew and then not enjoy it. And so I want to start slow and learn, the depths, but I want it to be simplistic. So I thought this book was good, but it was slightly more in depth, than I felt like for a beginner, but it says beginner guides, but by my personal opinion, I guess. But I thought it was really great in details of, my favorite thing about this one was doing how to do the garden beds, the way to organize the beds with certain vegetables and certain herbs that help each other grow, and also like how far apart to plant them, things like that, for them to be like, or healthily offspring and things like that. So I really liked it for that. I also enjoyed that the last half of the book is like any vegetable, and then the breakdown of like how to care for it, properties, things like that, which I think is really great. For me, being in the Midwest region now, it's important to understand the climate that I'm in, or like whatever state you're in. It's important to research what is successful, what's successful for vegetables and fruits to bloom and be hardy and rich and all that good stuff. So yeah, wanted to get something that was more specific to the region and not just a copious amount of things, which I think is great, but it wasn't necessary for me. So the next book I have is the Midwest Gardener's Handbook, and this is great. I felt like if you can find this for whatever region you live in, I highly recommend it, because it tells you exactly what is seasonal there, and it tells you exactly like what things are annual, and I think how you say it is perennials, where like you have to replant them every year. I'm probably really butchering how to say that. And then it goes into like each subcategory, so like bulbs, bushes. It's like for anything for like landscaping in general, if you were doing like an entire area, which we're not doing like shrubs or anything like that. But one of the garden beds I want to make into a really beautiful like flower bed. So this was really nice because I could find what would be nice and look good together, and it had all the vegetables and herbs that are successful, like when to plant them. For example, like I didn't want to sprout any seeds indoors because we had just moved here and I didn't have like anything set up, like, like any lights, or like if you did a hydroponic, like indoors, start to like sprout the seeds prior. Like peppers and things take a lot longer, which I learned through these books. They take a lot longer and they need more warmth, which makes sense because they come from more like southern regions. Yeah, so this was really good because I wanted to know things that I could sprout in May and April and what I can be doing, and it gave me like an exact calendar layout of what to be doing like in January, February, cleaning up your bed, like how to get it going. Through the entire calendar year, it kind of gave you like general checklist of things to do, which I thought was really helpful, and I put it into my garden book. If you guys follow the vlogs, I keep saying that, but you should check out the vlogs. But I made a little garden handbook so that when I return all these to the library, I can have the little book with me for reference so I don't forget. So I made that. Okay, and then last but not least for the gardening books, this is Beginner Gardening Step by Step, a visual guide, which it's exactly that. It's a visual guide, which I love that because it gives you the cliff notes right under, and it gives you step-by-step pictures, which I think is really great for somebody that's like somebody like myself that's a visual learner. It's nice for me to see because I usually will look stuff up on YouTube so that I can actually see like, what does pruning mean? Where exactly do you cut? Like, how, you know what I mean? I think sometimes you just want to be able to see it for your eyes as a visual guide. So this is really great for that. And it kind of went over a lot of the topics that I've gone in over the last 3 books. So yeah, really highly recommend. Okay, now for like less of the subject type of books, more for like pleasure. I have Well Gardened Mind, The Restorative Power of Nature by Sue Stuart Smith. I really like this book. However, I would say like probably 75% of the way, I was starting to kind of get a little like burnt out of like the research-based style of writing. I kind of wanted, in the beginning, she had written about her personal connection to psychology and gardening and why it was so important to her through like all the tragedies that she experienced in her life. And I was kind of hoping that it would be, I thought it would be a little bit more personal, and it was like, it was really good, but it was just research heavy, which I think serves its purpose. Yeah, I guess I was just hoping it was going to be more like personal, but I learned so much, and I'm so glad that I read this prior to starting the garden because it talks a lot about our minds and how healing gardening is, and being in nature and connecting to the earth and things like that, and what it means to show up to the garden every day, and how gardening is this like unspoken communication that you have with the earth. And I thought that that was really beautiful. Also, it talked a lot about a lot of clinical studies of how people have, you know, healed themselves through, you know, PTSD, trauma, things like that by being in gardens and, you know, correctional facilities allowing inmates to be in gardens, and how restorative it is and how transformative it is. And I feel like it's exactly parallel to how I feel in my life, of this like mothering nature aspect of my being, feeling like I need to nurture that. So it was really nice to read this so that I have like a conscious connection to my garden and what it means to show up for it every day. And I'm excited. I feel like it's going to be so healing for me, and the excitement of seeing something every day progress and seeing like the earth do its work, I think is such a beautiful thing. And this book kind of just puts it all in perspective. So if you're gonna start a garden, or you're interested in just like learning more about the healing powers of being in nature, I think this is a really nice read. Last but certainly not least, my favorite book of the month. All the books were my favorite and I enjoyed them, but this is special. I feel like if you've ever seen the movie, you know how good the story is, but the book is just even better. I feel like I had seen the movie and then I found this at the thrift store and I wanted to read it, and I really loved the movie, so I thought, oh, the book will be great. But it's seriously, there were so many nights, because I would read this before bed, there would be so many nights I would pause and talk to my partner about how parallel I felt like me and the author, the main character of the book, thought process and like just relatability and connection to, which I really enjoy a book like that, that you feel connected to. I feel like this is a really great book if you're in a big transition in life and finding yourself. It's about, you know, this woman that is going through a big change in her marriage. She gets divorced. I won't give away too much. And she goes on this like worldly travel to Indonesia, India, and Italy. And she goes on a self-discovery, and it's just so good. Her thought process through like learning herself as a woman and what brings her pleasure and happiness in life, the whole journey and every aspect of it, like which each place represented, like in Italy, and the food and the richness of her experiences and what that brought her compared to like being in Indonesia and India and her spiritual path. And it's just such a good book. I couldn't recommend it enough. I like how it's written too, because it goes back and forth between time periods, which I think is really fun on the mind, because you go back and forth between these life experiences in different times, which we all in our own minds like are in that, where we're back and forth between all different realities and then coming back into the present. So I think it's really entertaining to read, and I just love it. Well, that was all the books I read for the month of February. Please put in the comments what book maybe you read or what book you want to read in the month of March. I'll put my wish list of March books in the description, things I'm interested in reading, and I hope to do another one of these for the month of March. All these books will be linked in the description, and I hope you guys enjoyed this different style of video from me. I really enjoy reading, and so I hope that this was insightful and just peaceful, relaxing, and nice to consume. So thank you so much for being here. Don't forget to subscribe. I'll see you guys in the next one.